Now we're recording. Okay, for those who are new here, I'm recording with this. It will be uploaded to YouTube sometime later today. It takes a while for it to upload on my computer, and then it takes another while for it to get transferred to YouTube. But then it'll be there. I don't have the link for you yet, but I'll set it up as soon as I can have some time in my office to do so. Does anyone recall how far we got? I know we talked about the first page. We talked about this, course description, the student learning outcomes. Okay. Right there, about assessment. Say again? Yeah, right over here, evaluation, assessment, grading policies. Okay. All items that you're required to do will be used in calculating the final grade. And letter grades are given traditionally 90s or 80s, 80s or B's, all that kind of stuff. Scale of 0 to 100 is used and weighted as follows. Okay? First, remember you have a quiz about midway through each chapter. Okay, each unit of study. Okay? So, those are take-home quizzes. So you should get pretty good grades on them if you do them and turn them in. Okay? Let's start over. Let's start with the paper. The research paper will be assigned. We're going to go over the rules for that later. Next thing. Okay? It will count as a quiz score, but that you cannot drop. That quiz score, the paper, you cannot drop. Then the other quizzes come in, and the lowest of those may be dropped if it helps your average. Okay? I always don't do it if it hurts you, but I do it if it helps you. Okay? Now, once I have your paper and your highest quiz scores, I average those together. That gives you what I call a quiz average. Now, you have a test after each chapter or unit of study, and then you'll have a final exam, but the final exam doesn't count this. Of those tests that you have, the quiz average can replace your lowest test score. It should be a pretty good score. If you turn in all the quizzes and do well on the paper, you should have a pretty good quiz average. And if you do blow a test, or not quite as good as you'd like to have, I'll replace the test score with the quiz average. Okay? And then the remaining test and the comprehensive final exam. And by the way, let me say this again. I don't know if I said it before. The comprehensive final exam in Math 100 is a departmental-wide final. Now, as I told you last time, I think I got it in right at the end of the class. For every test you take in here, except for the final, you can have a formula and equation sheet. Anything you want to write on a piece of paper, you can write down and bring it to the test. Okay? The quizzes are take-home. You can have books open, everything else. The tests, though, are in class. They're closed book, but you can have a single sheet of paper. So I would highly recommend you either start working on that now, as we start doing the stuff, or night before, the weekend before, start compiling what you have there. Now, here's one reason I allow you to have that. When I was an undergraduate, very seldom, but occasionally, I had a professor who let us have a formula and equation sheet. And when I got into grad school, it happened a little bit, not all that frequently, but it did happen some. And I found out, because usually when they allowed that boy that night before, I was sitting there figuring out what I wanted to put on there, how small I could write and still read it, organizing it so I'd know where to look for it, picking out the most important things so I'd get that on there. And that's what I did the night before. And then when I went to take the test, I almost forgot to look at it. Because all that effort of planning, organizing, picking out the important things, I was learning it better than if I had not had it. And in fact, I hardly, in general, most of the time I say, oh, wait, I can check this. I would always be able to almost do the problems without using it. So it's a good idea in every class you take. Do a formula and equation sheet the night before, or the weekend before, sometime before. If you can't use it, don't take it to the test. But just the act of doing it is a great study tool. Okay? So that's why I'll let you do it. However, since the comprehensive final exam is departmental and the other instructors don't allow you to do that, on that one you cannot do it. Okay? So I would say still do one, but you can't bring it in and use it during the test. Okay. So you have then the quiz average with the remaining test scores, except you replace the lowest test score, then the comprehensive final exam. Now I allow that because that's a 2-hour test. I mean, just about everybody takes an hour 50 minutes. They take almost full time. It's 30 multiple choice questions. That's the only test you'll have with multiple choice questions. I don't really care for that in math, but the final, that's how they chose to do it, so that's how we do. And then there's 8 short answer questions, more like what you'll see on your test. Okay? So that's going to take you more than an hour. The in-class tests are geared to be hour exams. Okay? That's going to be closer to a 2-hour, hour and 50-minute exam. Okay, so I will count the final, comprehensive final, either as 1 test or 2 tests. If you make better on the departmental final than you did in your average coming in, I count it twice. If you make worse on the departmental final than you did the average coming in, I only count it once. But do whatever it takes to help your grade the most. Okay? And the comprehensive final cannot be dropped either. Final grade will be an average of the quiz average, remaining test scores, and that comprehensive final exam. Either once or twice. I either count it as 1 test or 2. All right, any questions on that? All right, and then the grades are just like normal. 90s are A's, 80s are B's, 70s are C's, and don't go any lower than that, okay? But there they are. Now, all students take the common final exam. In order to pass the course, you must earn an average of 70% or higher on the submitted work. Whoever wrote this the first time said on the final exam. I don't believe in that, okay? You might have the flu the day you're taking the final exam and really know your stuff but just feeling miserable and wind up with a 68 and you're not going to fail the course, or make a D in it. So I changed that to say average, okay? Attendance. Please try to be here every day, okay? Even though I record everything, you can't ask questions of recording at home when you're listening to it. Try to be here. We do work in class. If you have problems, you can ask and get on top of it right then. If you can't be here, then consider withdrawing, okay? If you know if something comes up, your work schedule changes, something happens, you get sick or something happens and you're going to get hopelessly behind, a W is better than a D or an F. A D or an F hurts you academically. It drops your grade point average. A W does not, okay? So a W is usually better. Now the only negative implication of it is if you're on federal, Pell Grant, or some other type program like that, you are allowed to retake the class once. Okay, they'll pay for it the first time. If you make a D, F, or withdrawal, they'll pay for it the second time. But then if you make another D, F, or withdrawal the second time, they will not pay for it the third time. So if you've already had the class once and made a D or F or withdrew, then you really are limited. But if you're going to wind up with a D or an F again, you're going to have to take it again. Why not take a W rather than that? The W doesn't hurt you academically. The D and the F do. F hurts worse than D, but they both hurt. Now, makeup work. When I give you the quizzes, I think I said this last time, I always give you at least a week to work on the quiz. 2 reasons. Did I go over that last time? Okay, 2 reasons. 1, you always have 1 more class period to ask me questions. Okay, like, I don't understand what this is asking. Or, could you clarify what you mean here? That type of thing. Here's a question I will answer, but probably not to your satisfaction. Can you do number 7? My answer will be yes. But I'm not going to, okay? The quiz is for you to do. But here is a question I'll do. Can you do exercise 23, section 3.6? Yes, I'll be glad to do that. Even if that's very similar to number 7 on the test, on the quiz, I'll be glad to do anything in the book. Okay? So what I suggest that you do is, if you're having trouble with a quiz question, then find one like it in the homework exercises, or even if it wasn't assigned for homework, find one like it in the book. I'll be glad to do anything from the book. Make sense? All right. Now, if you miss a test, so try to get your quiz in a week. If you need more time, I'm pretty much a pushover, so I'll let you have more time. But there's two things that are happening if you take more extra time. Number one, you cannot take that next test until you turn in that previous quiz, or you have to ask me politely to give you a 0 on the quiz. Now, I don't want to do that, but if you ask me, I really can't refuse you, can I? So please, get them in. But here's the other thing. Well, actually, there's 3 things. The second thing is, I think, even more important than that. The whole purpose for the quiz is for you to figure out if there's something that's bugging you, okay? And if you wait until the day of the test to turn in your quiz, you don't get that feedback of whether you got it right on the quiz or not, right? So get the quiz in early so I can get graded and you can see if you missed anything. Hopefully you can figure out what, and then you don't make the same mistake on the test. You turn it in the day of the test, you don't have that. You're probably going to make that same error again on the test. So please turn it in early. And then here's the other thing, the third thing. You're holding up the class because I can't return the quizzes to the class until I get them all in. Now, I will let you see your score and I will let you see your paper, but I can't turn it back to you because I can't have the quiz with the correct answers on it floating around out there while there's still some people who haven't turned it in. So I have to do that. So you're holding up your classmates as well. So please don't. Try to get all your, if you can, get it in within a week. If not, as soon as you can. Now, tests. If you miss a test day, time if possible. And please let me know when you're going to come and take it. Again, I'd love for you to get that done within a week. Okay? Now, if you had the flu and you're going to be out for 2 weeks, I'd rather you get over the flu before you come, and give it to everybody else. Okay? That usually doesn't happen. If somebody's in National Guard or reserves or something like that, and you have 2 weeks of training, don't worry. We'll let you handle that. But for the rest of us, just let me know ahead of time, explain what it is, try to get it done within a week. Again, so I can get the other tests back to everybody else, because I can't return the test to you until everybody's taken it. Okay? Now, of course, the comprehensive final exam, do that one, so you can't let that go too long, or if you do, and by the way, you can't get the finals back anyway. The research paper I can't return to you because periodically they ask for samples of student writing, so I have to hang on to that. I'll let you see. You certainly will see your grade in Blackboard, but you can see what you missed if you want to see that. The comprehensive final exam, also, they require us to hold those for 3 years, just in case there's any disputes after 3 years. You can come back and get them if you want. Okay. Lateness, I'll try to be here every day at 8, hopefully set up before 8. Today was just crazy like last time. Okay. Any questions on attendance? And for some reason, now my cursor's not working. Okay, now something's working. Like I said, it has a delay, an inexplicable delay. Okay, I think this was next, right? Statement of discrimination and harassment. I include one more thing in here. I think it falls under here, but I like to put it in. Bullying. Okay? Let me give you a hint. Will not be tolerated. Is never tolerated. Okay? Let's not even go there. Okay? Now, I've been here, I think I just finished my 20th year and on my 21st year teaching mostly in this classroom. We may move the class. Is this uncomfortable the way we're set up now? It is? Okay, I will check. I don't know when I'm going to be able to check, but I'm going to check as soon as I can to see if we can get a bigger classroom. There's a bigger one down in 259, but I think there's a biology class in there now. There's a bigger one down the hall here in 201, but that belongs to the nursing department, and I can't use it unless they are not using it. So I'll have to check on that. But like I said, I may not be able to get that done today. I'll try to do that at 3:30 if I'm not swamped at 3:30. Okay. Sorry, I don't know why that came up now, but if you feel like now, certainly if you feel like someone's discriminating against you, harassing you, or bullying you, let us know, okay? Because guess what? They don't do it in front of us if they can help it, okay? They always do it better. So let us know. But even more important than that, if you see or sense or even suspect someone is bullying somebody else or harassing or discriminating, let us know that too. That's even better to get from if you're involved with it, I want to know about it. But if you suspect it or see it, let us know. We'll investigate. We're not going to be unfair with it. We're going to be very fair and correct, but we don't want it happening. Okay? So let us know. All right. Americans with Disabilities. This is a federal law here, as is discrimination as well. And we try to do this properly. We have on this campus, Bessemer campus, Dr. Renee Herndon, who's actually head of the Office of Disability Services at all three campuses. Okay? She is good. There's her phone number. She's here on this campus. Mrs. Jean McCoy Jones on the Birmingham campus. There's her phone number. And you can either come by and see them. You can bring your materials to them. You can visit them online if you don't want a face-to-face. There's lots of ways you can go about doing it. They are very good at getting us the information of what we need to do to accommodate your disability. As you have noticed, I'm hard of hearing, so I'm a little sensitive toward disability. It's not really a disability, it's just an inconvenience for me. But if you have a disability, please let us know. Now you can let me know, but I can't do a thing about it. I'll take it right down to Dr. Herndon, and she knows what to do. She's trained, she's a professional in this. The actual locations on this campus, in this building, down on the first floor, you know where the Student Services Wing is? Admissions desk, ask there. Her office is right around the corner from there. So check there and they will get you to her. On the Birmingham campus, if y'all are familiar with the Leon Kennedy Center, that's where the cafeteria is, the police department there on the first floor. On the second floor is the Space Center, and I think that's where Miss McCoy Jones is up there, either in the Space Center or right near the Space Center. So go to the Space Center on the second floor, and you can get there. Now, college calendar. I did get this updated. This one is updated, and this is straight off the web page, the academic calendar. There's all the dates you need to know. Pretty much. If there's anything you don't know, please let me know, and I'll try to find those out as well. Okay? And not only that, here is an approximate schedule, and obviously we're not going to make it because the first day we were supposed to have done syllabus. We're still doing syllabus the second day. We'll try to catch up, but frankly, we probably won't ever completely catch up because I have this theory in teaching math. You got to get the basics done before you move on to the next stuff. If I just try to do this, somebody's going to be lost in the sauce if they don't get this. And we're already moving along here. You don't have the tools to get that far. So I'm going to focus on getting what we need to do. And then if there's anything we leave off, you'll have the tools and it'll be easier to catch that up. Okay? And I'll notice a few things here. Always your homework assignment is the odd number problems. Okay? There are two reasons for that. At the end of each section, you have these problems. Okay? The answers for the odd numbers are in the back of the book. So if you work those odd number problems, you can't get the answer in the back of the book. It might give you a hint of what to do to get it better. But if you can't figure out how to get that answer in the back of the book, this author, no, I'm sorry, That was my 112 class. That's the reason I do odd numbers. They have the answers in the back. If you can't get those answers, then come see me, ask it in class, whatever, and we'll work it. Okay? So, this is all approximate. All these dates are subject to change and the order subject to change, but we'll try to follow as close to that as we can. I never have been able to get it completely finished. Okay? But we'll take care of things at the end. Now, the last page is student acknowledgement form. As soon as I get this out there on Blackboard, then when you see this, you can either print this and give it to me by hand, or you can fill it in and email it to me, either one you want to do. Okay? I'll try to get that there. If I can't get it done this afternoon, it'll probably be Friday, because I have no office hours on Tuesday and Thursday. Okay. Any questions about the syllabus? Okay. Those who weren't here the first time, once we get the link to YouTube, you can see what we talked about the first time. All right, let's end that. Okay, everything is so slow right now. That's why I'm closing it out, hopefully speeding it up. Okay. We'll minimize this. Goodness gracious, this is slow. All right. Now let's talk about the research paper. Okay. All right. You get to choose a topic. I'm not going to assign a topic. You choose anything that you would like to write on within the scope of the course. It has to have some connection with intermediate college algebra. Okay? It can be a person, and periodically you'll run across people in the text, and if one of those sounds interesting to you, you can write on them. It can be a theory. Okay? We'll get a few of those in the text if you want to see, well, how did they come up with this? You can write a paper on that. A phenomenon, something that's happening that is related to intermediate college algebra. Lots of things are. I love application papers, okay? Whatever your major is, how does college algebra relate to that, you know? Or just something you're interested in, okay? And how is that? I love papers like this. Now, this isn't this course, but the classic example of teaching a trig class, this is many years ago. The guy sat right back there where Miss Rhines is sitting, and he happened to be a forestry major, pre-forestry major. Okay? Reiner, I'm sorry. Okay. He actually was a Jeff State student, but evidently didn't like math there. He lived in McCalla, so he just said, I'm going to take my math here. And he took, I think, pre-calculus algebra and trig here before he transferred to Auburn and forestry. And he wrote his paper on the use of trigonometry in forestry. And you might say, yes, they do. Because a forester quite often is going out there estimating the number of board feet in a stand of timber. And how they do that is measure or estimate the diameter of the tree, and then they need to estimate the height. Now, you think he takes his tape measure and climbs the tree and see how high it is? No. He gets a sextant, stands back away from it, uses the angle, and uses trigonometry to figure out what the height of, estimate the height of the tree. He wrote his paper on that. He wasn't a great writer, but it was a really good paper because he applied what he was doing in class to what he hoped to do. And I really love that. Okay? Now, any other such topic that you come up with, if it has something to do with algebra, go for it. Okay? Anything that you're interested in. Now, here's another option. It can be based on an internet application, demonstration, YouTube video, something like that. Okay? I've had this happen before. Students don't understand the book. I make them more confused. They find something out there on the internet and say, oh, that's what they were talking about. This really explained it well. You can write on that. You can write on that application, demonstration, video, whatever you find, and say how it helped you. Okay? Guess what I'll do? You know, when I look at that and see that, I'm going to load it on the blackboard so everybody can see it and use it. Okay? But if you want to write your paper on that you certainly can. Okay? Now, what I'd like you to do today or next week, okay, is write your name on a piece of paper. That's going to be pretty easy, isn't it? Okay? But also give me at least your first guess of what your topic's going to be. So today, this weekend, sometime go through the sections we're going to cover, see if anything pops out at you. Something, I'd like to know more about this, or I'd like to know how to apply this, or wow, that guy sounds like an interesting person or theory or something like that. Pick something, write your name and the topic, and you can always change your topic. That's not written in stone. You can always change and give me a different topic. But then there's at least 2 more pieces of information that has nothing to do with the paper that I'd like you to write on that paper. The first is your preferred email address. For years, the college here has been so stubborn and only communicating with students via the Lawson State email address. And finally, something happened. I don't know what happened. They finally woke up and said, you know, people aren't getting the word because they're not checking their Lawson State email. But they are checking email, so you give us what email address you would like your stuff sent to. So that's the thing, preferred email address. Second thing, best phone number. I mentioned I'm the math department chair, and Monday evening, talking with my boss, the associate dean, and he said, you need to cancel these 2 classes. They don't look like they're going to make it. And there are a total of 11 students into 2 classes. And before I cancel a class, I always try to call the students. Okay? Now, they'll always succeed. And in those 11 students, at least 5 of them, I couldn't get to them. The phone had been disconnected, no longer in service. The mailbox was not set up. They weren't accepting messages. So I never knew if I ever got in touch with them. You know, I had no way well, I knew I didn't get in touch with them, but I had no way sometimes of knowing whether even talking to the mailbox of the right person because there was no name associated. So if you give us your very best phone number, then we have a much better chance of getting in touch with you. So those are the 4 things required. Your name, your topic, your preferred email address, and the very best phone number. Now, I like to give you an option to do 2 more if you choose, but you don't have to. If your very best phone number is a cell phone, which most of the time I think it will be, right? But if there's a chance that cell phone may die, get left at home, left in the car, left somewhere you don't know where it is, run over by a truck, you know, or you change service sometime in the middle of the term and it's no longer good. If there's a chance any of that could happen and you want to give me a good backup number, Mama's landline or something like that, you can. You don't have to. That's just something I give you the option in case we can't get you on that number. Is there a good backup? Now, a few of you, maybe many of you, may work, okay? And if you work and you're at a job that doesn't let you use your cell phone, but you can take incoming calls at work, if you want to give me that number, you can. You don't have to, but you can if you want to. So those are 2 more optional numbers you can give if we can't get you on your cell phone. So that's up to you. They do want the email and your preferred number. All right. Now, you'll need to find at least 1, but 2 or more are better, outside sources for your paper. This book can give you great ideas. It cannot be a source for the paper. You need to get one of the main purposes is get you out of the book into the real world, or at least sort of, okay? So, those sources can be books, journals, newspaper, magazines, any kind of articles, any material you can find in the library or the library can get for you, like interlibrary loan or something like that. That's legitimate, okay? Now, a lot of instructors don't allow this, but I will. Any legitimate source found on the internet, okay? And that puts the burden on you. You have to make sure it's a good source. Because I tell my students, during my lifetime, if someone pressed me what the greatest invention during my lifetime I would probably have the internet, okay? Because I don't think it was in existence in 51 when I was born, okay? And it's been developed, and it is incredible. Two big problems with it, though. Maybe way more than two, but I know of two. Number one, I'm sure that more than half the stuff on the internet is total garbage, okay? Second, sometimes we don't know which half, okay? So be careful when you use the internet. I do allow it, but make sure you're a site that is good. If you have any questions, bring it to me. We'll look at it and see if it is. The textbook is not an outside source. Maybe a great place for ideas, but not a source. Now, you need to have, this is not supposed to be a major undertaking, okay? Fairly short paper. I want it to be at least one word process, no handwritten. I don't even want it typed, really. Word process, page of text. Y'all know how to type anyway? Never. Okay, we won't. Okay, now what do I mean by a page of text? A lot of students, and you don't have to do this, but if you choose it, it's fine. The format they choose has a header up here, and then several spaces skipped, and a title, triple space, and then they start typing somewhere down the page here. Okay? One page of text will go to the bottom of that page, and then on the next sheet of paper, start at the top and come down at least that far. That's a page of text. Not fixing margins and stuff so you have a little bit of typing in the middle and that's a page. That's not a page. It needs to be standard, everything, with it going over at least 2 sheets of paper. At least 2 sheets of paper. Probably it's going to be more than at least 2. So, first thing, you get the double space. This is single space. You get the double space. So it's not as bad. Okay? Now, standard font size 2. I don't want any giant fonts, so 15 words fill up a page. That's not going to do it for you. And nor do I want any tiny little font that I can't read. So around 12 pitch, 12 point, whatever they call that, that would be great. What font you use, I don't care, as long as I can read it. I don't read hieroglyphics and Old English and Cyrillic and that kind of stuff, so don't try that, okay? I don't think you would anyway, okay? Now, I suggest that you try to keep the paper less than 2 pages. You can go over if you want to. If you get so fired up about the subject, then I can tell y'all are going to. Okay. I don't want to put a damper on that, okay? But I don't want it to be onerous. And here's the other thing I don't want. I don't have this happen often, but I have had it happen more than once, okay? That some student decides, you know, I know I'm not doing a very good job, so I'll just give them more of it, okay? No, that doesn't work either. I'd rather have quality than quantity. Quantity's fine as long as it's good quality, but I'm for quality. Okay, so that's why I say try to keep it between 1 and 2 pages. If you go over 2 pages, there's no penalty. At least no direct penalty anyway. You will lose points if this paper is less than 1 full page of text. Okay? But there's no direct penalty if it's longer than 2 pages. However, and this is how I deal with that bad quality, when you turn in the paper, it's a 100-point paper. Okay? I can hear you now say, don't read it then. Okay, no, I'm going to read it, and I'm going to grade it. And as I read and grade, if I find errors, you start losing points. If it's a good paper, you're not going to be losing many points. Okay? But it's a real sloppy paper, you may be losing a fair number of points. And if you turn in a real long, real sloppy paper, you're just losing more and more and more and more points. So, please, give me a good paper. If you need to have it more than 2 pages, fine. If it's a good paper, you're not going to lose that many points. Okay? Now, what format? I don't care. Most English classes teach MLA, Modern Language Association format. If you're used to that, like that, go for it. A lot of scientific organizations use APA, which is American Psychological Association. Way back there, they came up with a really deep format. A lot of places said, wow, I can't improve on this, we'll use theirs. Okay? But then other organizations, I'm a member of like 2 or 3 professional organizations, and they each have their own format, which is really nauseating. My wife is a professor at UAB and a researcher there, So she's always writing papers and submitting papers. But the New England Journal of Medicine has one format, American, what is that? Journal of American Medicine, or no, American Medical Association. They have their format. So she just has her things that set up. If she's going to this journal, she puts in the format and everything takes care of it. But be sure you stay with it. The important thing is be consistent. Once you choose a format, stay with that format. For instance, if you start blocking paragraphs, block all the paragraphs, okay? If you start printing in Arial, don't change the Courier or Times New Roman in a different paragraph. I've actually had in the middle of a paragraph change fonts. I said, why would anyone do that? And they didn't notice it, That's an error, okay? Spelling, grammar, sentence structure, all those things that English teachers harp on, yeah, that still counts here too. You lose points for that. You're giving me a product. Make it a good product, okay? But, okay, so therefore, use spell check, use grammar check. If every word processing package has it, use it. Now, here's the deal. Quite often, I'll have people turn in papers, and I know they've never used spell check. I mean, there's no way spell check wouldn't have caught that error, okay? So please use these things. And usually those happen when they're in a rush at the end of the term, and we'll get to that later. And use good proofreading, okay? Now, I'm not just taking off of that, content also matters. Most of the subjects you'll choose to write on, I've probably read a dozen papers on that same subject before, or I know about it. So if you got something wrong, I've had so many people write on Pythagorean theorem, and every now and then, they'll just state it completely backwards, or get it totally wrong, or give an example that doesn't make sense, So content also matters. Be consistent. Here's a really dumb example. Someone writing on a person, let's say Isaac Newton, okay? And when they first mention him, some people choose to put in parentheses year of his birth, year of his death. You see that a lot. But then over on page 2, they have him dying on a different year than they had on page 1. Look, Isaac, make up your mind when you're... No, be consistent. Okay, that's just a dumb example, but actually I've seen it. And I've also seen this one. Something that probably happened around 1463, they put 1743 or something like that. They just got the numbers crossed up, and I know it couldn't happen, okay? It didn't happen on 1943. No, they weren't alive then. It did not happen. So, be consistent. All right? Now, when's the paper due? By the last day of class. Not the last day of the term, not the last day of finals, the last day we're in class, which I think will be the first Wednesday in December. But do not put it off till then. That's the last date I will accept it and you get full credit for it. Please get started on it early. That's why I'm asking you to come up with a topic early. Get started on it early, okay? I've been doing this, and I've been here, like I said, 20 plus years now. I didn't do papers the first probably 3 or 4 or 5 years, something like that. But ever since then, more than 15 years, I've had every class that I've taught. And I've taught back when we were in quarter system, 4 quarters a year, semesters, 3 semesters a year. I've had anywhere from 4 to 8 classes a term, and I've not had that many classes this big, but I have some bigger, usually averaging 15 to 20, okay? That's a lot of students, a lot of papers. And here's the general trend. I usually get my best papers early in the term because people have more time to work on them, and they just knock them out, get it done well, proof it well and stuff. And usually toward the end of the term, that last week when I get a whole bunch of them in, that really, usually those are some of my worst papers. Now, I've had some real dogs at the beginning. I've had some great papers at the end, but the general trend is downhill, okay? So please get started early, get it done early. That's the stick. Here's another part of the stick. If you turn it in after that first Wednesday in December, the last day of class, you turn it in during finals week or something like that, you are losing points, okay? Okay, so please turn it in early rather than later. That's the stick. Here's the carrot. Okay, if you submit the paper Oh, I've got to change this, okay? If you submit the paper in December, that first week in December, you get your score. That's all you get. Anything after that, you losing points. If you turn it in November, anytime in November, you get a bonus point. Turn it in October, 2 bonus points. Turn it in September, 3 bonus points. If you turn it in this week or next week, in August, 4 bonus points. Okay? So that's the carrot. Okay? If you want, and that's almost half a letter grade there, folks. You know, so get it in sooner rather than later. Now, here's one thing I require that most people do not. When you submit your paper, please attach a single page from one of your sources. If you have 3 sources, pick a source, any source, I don't care. And then give me a single page. I don't want the whole source, just a single page from that source. If it's a book, a journal, a magazine you got out of the library, take it over to the copier, copy me 1 page on it. If it's something you got off the internet, print me 1 page from that source. Okay? Any questions on the paper? Good deal. All right. This will be posted once I get those changes made. I'll post this on Blackboard when I have a chance in my office to do so. Okay. Probably it's going to wind up being this weekend, or Friday. It could happen Friday or this weekend. Okay? Now, oops. All right, we're not through yet, folks. Last time we met, oh man, I think that was safe. Okay. Last time we met, I was not sure of what my schedule was going to be. I don't know if you remember this. But this is my locator card, which will be on my door once I have a chance to sit down in my office and print it. It falls 2017, you know, my name, my phone number, my email address, you know, that kind of stuff. I was not sure on what to put for office hours because I had a lot of small classes. I was hoping I would be able to cancel a few of those. Guess what? So we'll get to it. This class, obviously, full to the gills. Right after this, I have a Calculus 2 class, and that only has 2 or 3 students in it. So I was hoping to cancel it. At least one, and maybe a couple of them, had to have it this term so they can graduate on time. So I'm going to teach it. My lunch is, and by the way, Calculus is a 4-hour course. It's 9:30 to 11:10. So I'm usually not back in the office by 11:15, but that's what I put here. And that's my lunch time. You can contact me then. I'm in the office. I bring my lunch. I eat in the office. So you can usually contact me there. But then after lunch at 12:15 is Cal 3. And that had 3 students, I think. But they needed it in order to graduate. One of them's last term here. If he doesn't get it, he's not going to graduate. So I'm teaching that. And then in the afternoon, that goes from 2, it's also a 4-hour course, 12:15 to 1:55. So I have 5 minutes between there. I don't make it to the office, I'm sure, then at all. And then differential equations, that's from 2 to 3:15. That class has maybe 3 students in it, and sure enough, somebody needs it last term here to graduate. So I couldn't cancel that neither. And then the time, and this is Monday and Wednesday, in the office then from 3:15 to 5:15, Monday and Wednesday. Okay? That's the biggest chunk of office hours I have on this campus, Monday and Wednesday, 3:15 to 5:15. All right, let's go to Tuesday, Thursday then. All right, my Math 112 pre-calculus algebra is almost as big as this class. Okay, Math 113, good size class, like 15, 17, something like that. This is the one I was hoping, okay, I think we can put this off. Nope. One student is finishing this term, has to have it to graduate. So I had to offer this one too. So I got 2 or 3 students in that. So I have a bunch of small classes, but somebody needs it this term, otherwise they're not going to be able to graduate. So I'm going to teach it. So my lunch, this goes from 11 to 12:15. So my lunch is 12:15 to 1:15, but I never get to back to the office by 12:15 because the class ends right then. But then I have physical science. Now this is the first mini-term course, and that's why it's so long, from 1:15 to 3:45, and then the lab is, and this is Tuesday and Thursday, 3:45 to 5:45. So then I'll leave campus about 6 o'clock. Second mini-term, my physical science 112 won't start until 3:15, so I will have a bunch of office hours then. First mini-term, not. But of course that means I'll be leaving here at 8 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but that's okay. That's why they pay me the big bucks, right? Okay. So oh, and then the one last thing, is on Friday, I'm on the Birmingham campus and in the academic building, room B122, and I'm there from 7:45 until 11:45. So I never get away by 11:45. So I'm usually there later, but officially that's when I'm there. I put in lunch because we're required to put in lunch. I don't have the 45 minutes there. I usually eat in my office, just like here, but not as big a lunch because I wasn't going home soon anyway. But catch me again. But here's one thing, folks. They love calling meetings on Fridays. So just because it says I'm in the office, on Fridays when they call meetings, sometimes they don't give us like that morning's notice. If I know I'm going to have a meeting, I'll let you know. But if I don't know it, if you try to call, remember that number is not my phone number. I can't check voicemail on it. It's just the office that I'm in. You can call me at that, and I'll put it in my service. Okay, 6409 is the prefix for that. Now here's one. Okay. Believe it or not, there's one more thing we got to do before we start math, and we'll do this on Monday. It's safety. We have to talk about safety in case something ever happens. You don't have to say, what do I do? We'll talk about it, tell you what to do. It won't take that long, but we'll talk about that first thing, and then we'll get right into math. Finally, okay. So, and when I do safety, remind me to give you the number for the campus police. I didn't know they had a special number. The number that's listed is somebody's desk phone. There is a number, and I'll give that to you on Monday. I don't think I brought it in with me today, but I'll do it when we talk about safety. Any questions? Finally, we'll get to do some math next week. Sorry about this real long delay. And hopefully we'll get started right at 8 o'clock, too. Good attendance, by the way, folks. Way to go. Yes, sir. Math. Right. Yeah, that has anything to do with math or algebra. Related somehow to that.
Okay. Kind of like, how we do like polynomials, how it
Yeah, very good, yeah. Yeah. Sounds great.